Hey everybody, welcome to this lesson video for my arrangement of Deep River Blues on the 3-finger or bluegrass style banjo. This is heavily inspired from Doc Watson, of course. We put it in the key of G here. The tabs are going to be in the video, but if you want a PDF of them or the lead sheet or just want to support me, you can do that on Patreon. I'll put a link below. So let me play through this and then we'll talk about it. Okay, a 1, 2, a 1, 2, 3, 4. Let it rain, let it pour, let it rain a whole lot more, 'cause I got them deep river blues. Let the rain drive right on, let the waves sweep along, 'cause I got them deep river blues. Okay, there we go. That's Deep River Blues. So this song is a little bit interesting. It's a little different than most bluegrass things you come into. It says it's a blues, but I find that it takes a little more inspiration, or this version at least takes a little more inspiration from ragtime, especially in the harmony. So let's talk about the chords. I'm going to put the chords up because often when I teach this tune, we spend a lot of time talking about these chords. They're kind of tricky. So first off, you'll notice there's a lot of seventh chords in there. One thing you want to remember is you don't always have to play sevenths. So a seventh chord is a major chord plus the flatted 7, whatever note 2 frets below the root is. So for example, on a G, whatever 2 frets below a G is, that F, a G7 is just a G chord with an F in it, all right? But that means that you can always just play a G. You're never going to play a wrong note on a G7 when you play a G. It might not give you the sound you want, but there's nothing wrong with it. So for all those seventh chords, you can just play your standard G, C, and D. The one you got to watch out for is that diminished chord, right? G diminished 7. This doesn't come up very often in bluegrass. It's definitely more of a ragtime, jazz sort of thing. And the easiest version I can show you for this, just straight out of the gate, is this chord here. It's just 2nd fret, 2nd fret, 3rd fret. And then we could either don't play the 4th string, or we could try to bar all that. But if you just play these 3 notes, that's your G diminished chord. And if you have that, you can just go through the chords and play G, C, and D in the way you normally would, right? Let it rain, let it pour, let it rain a whole lot more, 'cause I've got them deep river blues. Ain't no one to cry for me, and now something, go on a spree when I've got them deep river blues. So that works. But if we want to get these full sevenths, I'm going to show you what I often recommend. So on the G, I'll take this G chord here, this F-shaped G, and I'm just going to add the F to it to make it a 7, and I get this chord. And what's cool here is, and this is kind of what you hear in the song, let it rain, let it pour, where you have this chromatic move down, because a diminished 7th chord is like a dominant chord that you've moved all the notes back except for the root, the G. So we've got, this is a G chord F shape, there's our G7. If we move all those notes except for the G, so this 5th string back, we've got this diminished chord. So this is how I often recommend to play it, right? Let it rain, let it pour, let it rain. And then you go to a C7, here, a whole lot more, 'cause I've got them deep river blues. Now on this D, I find this F sharp at the top sounds a little bit bright to me. And often when you're playing something that's bluesy and you play a chord with the 3rd on the top, it sounds a bit wonky. So I'll tend to play just a D5. I just leave that open. And then that way you can kind of add little licks. I think it does something along those lines. So yeah, that's the way you can play those chords. Another cool thing about diminished chords that you'll hear is they're what are referred to as symmetrical chords. So they're actually built by the notes that are all equally distanced from each other. all 3 frets apart. So what it means is once you have one shape, of a diminished chord, you can just move that up 3 frets, and you're getting the same notes but in a different order, right? So here it's G, B flat, C sharp, E, and then here it's B flat, C sharp, E, and G. Okay, so those are the different ways of playing through this, right? If you really want to be ragtime, you can just kind of give a full pulse. For another time. Okay, so let's look through this arrangement here. So I'll put up the first line. Actually, before we talk about this first line, I'm just going to show you this little trick I do. Is here's a G chord up here. It's the same as the open G chord, right? Just 12 frets higher. And I know that if I want to make a dominant chord, I could just move the G back 2 frets to find the F. There's my G7. So I have this G7 shape. Now, there's actually no G in this chord. So if I want to make this the diminished, remember the diminished, if you want to make a diminished chord, you can take the 7th shape, move it back 1 fret, and just make sure that you still play the G. Well, because there's no G here, I can just move this shape back, and I've got this. This is a version of a G7 diminished. It's just missing the G. So that's what I do to start this off. So let's put the tab up, and we've got this. I'll play the first line through. Now, a couple things I'll walk you through here. So that's pretty straightforward here. We're just kind of doing a pick. This, that takes people a little while, and I want to recommend here pinky, middle finger, and the middle finger goes back here. It's very important that the middle finger is getting this G, so we're kind of in this position of this G major chord here because it makes the rest of this a lot easier. So we have, there's that little chromatic thing going down. Guess it's not chromatic. Okay, let's move on to the next line here. So again, I got my middle finger here. That's important because I have this. So, hardest thing, make sure that middle finger's there. Here's the chromatic thing I was talking about. And here, this is just a D chord here. If we have this G shape move down, G, F, E, D, and we do that same 2 frets below the D, it's the same shape we had up here. We're just moving it to a D. All right, so that's the second line. Third line coming up here. Back up, pretty much the same thing. Just here we're pinching. All the same, all right? And then we have the last line, starts out the same, but instead of going up, we go down. Now, so notice here we have this little melody, da, 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 very minor sounding, and we're just doing double stops here. And then when we resolve to the G, we get the 2 notes of a G chord, all right? And here we just do this little like bluesy lick, or well, it's very country to my ears, flat 3 to 3. I'm going to end on a dominant chord. You could end on a G chord if you wanted, but I like that lick. Yeah, and then that's it. That's the tune. This is relatively tricky. I find the chords are a little strange, so if you're not used to doing diminished chords, they can really throw you off. But this is kind of a cool arrangement. I really enjoyed playing this on the banjo. It's also very fun to play on the guitar, I have to say. But yeah, that's the way it goes. So the last thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to play through it with the tablature at a slow pace, just so you can kind of watch and hear it. So this is what it sounds like slow. 1, 2, 3, 4. I done messed up there, but it's the same as the last one, so that's okay. Okay, hope you have fun with this one. I sure like playing this one. Okay, till next time. Ciao.